budge up, buddy. Look, you budge up. I'm sorry. Hey, so I'm filming this on the evening that we just found out that Wales is going back into a national lockdown almost immediately, like at midnight, and all the Christmas restrictions are getting tightened, and I'm going to have another drink, I think. I'm going to film a Christmas video. Is everyone feeling festive? Cheers!
You're a bum, you're a punk.
You're an old slut on junk, lying there almost dead on a drip in that bed.
You scumbag, you maggot. You cheap, lousy
Whoa! Hey now.
I mean, well, what I meant to say is...
You can't go calling me that.
Yeah, no, sorry. But you call me a slut and that's not cool either.
Yeah, but I'm not the one flinging homophobic slurs around. Come on, you should know better. You've lost all credibility. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chris Chopping, and all I want for Christmas is for you to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It helps support the channel, it helps people find my content, it costs you nothing. It's a Christmas miracle. Now, you don't have to have seen any of my other videos to enjoy this one. It entirely stands on its own 2 feet. But it is also the second of 2 videos that I've now made about seasonal bigotry. The first one was all about Sainsbury's latest Christmas ad and the racist backlash that had received. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I'll be catching you up on some of the feedback I got in response to that one. And today I'm talking about Fairy Tale of New York. I'm aware, by the way, that this Fairy Tale of New York t-shirt makes me look quite fat, but I haven't worn it for a while and it makes me look slightly less fat than I was expecting, so I'm going to take that as a win. But Fairy Tale of New York has become such a fixture of Christmas that it's almost weird to reread Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol and realise that he makes no mention of it. After all, the tune sounds like it could have been around for centuries, and Shane MacGowan would fit right into Charles Dickens' pantheon of colourful Victorian characters. You can easily imagine him fitting right in alongside Ebenezer Scrooge, Tiny Tim, Gonzo, Kermit and the others. Recently, people got very upset because Radio 1 tried to censor the song's most contentious lyric, but this is hardly a new controversy. Arguments about this song rage year on year, whether it's sparked by a new cover version, Uncle Bryn belting it out on Gavin and Stacey, or some local radio DJ trying to have the song banned. Every year there are fierce arguments about its lyrical content. It's become as much of a tradition as the song itself. The song actually has quite a convoluted history of various censorship and edits, and it's not always the word you'd expect that gets cut out. When the song was originally performed on Top of the Pops on its initial release, the BBC asked that Kirsty MacColl sang ass instead of arse. And in 1992, when they performed it on the show again, MacColl changed the lyrics further, singing "You're cheap and you're haggard" for the first time. When Katie Melua performed the song in 2005 on CD UK with the Pogues, ITV censored the word arse but left the F word uncensored. MTV channels in the UK have removed and scrambled the words slut, arse and the F word in the song. And in 2018, 2 broadcasters on Ireland's RTE2 pop music station asked for the F word to be bleeped from broadcast of the song, but RTE actually refused to do this. And in 2019, BBC Radio Solent presenter Alex Dyke announced on his Twitter account that he would not be playing Fairy Tale of New York on his show, calling it a nasty, nasty song and an offensive pile of down-market chav bilge, which seems a bit harsh. Even this new BBC ban isn't a first. BBC Radio 1 previously tried to edit the F word and the word slut from the track to avoid offence in 2007. It caused so much uproar that they actually had to reverse their decision and continue to play the song uncensored. For some, the offensive line makes the song beyond the pale and something that should just be banned outright. But for other people, so much as a radio edit is like desecrating a holy text. Some people seem to see sticking up for the original lyric and keeping all the original words in place as somehow akin to defending the band themselves, like that's what they would want. So it's worth mentioning that for years the band have used an alternative lyric when they're playing the song live. And when Lawrence Fox recently tweeted in defence of the lyric, jumping on what he thought would be a populist bandwagon, the Pogues were very quick to fire back at him. I've heard various arguments made in defence of the use of the F word in the song, and when I say F word, I don't mean fuck. We can say fuck all day. Fuck, fuck, fuck. That's fine. I don't have a fucking problem with it. You know the word I mean, and I do have a fucking problem with that one because it does upset people, and there's no need. But as I say, I've heard arguments in its defence, so let's look at those. It's been pointed out that the word has more than one meaning, and when the lyric was written in the 1980s, they never intended it to be a homophobic slur. And that's absolutely fair enough. I'm sure that is not what the band meant, but unfortunately, the meaning they did mean has kind of fallen out of common usage, and when people hear that word, particularly directed at a man in an argument, their head is more likely to go to the homophobic slur. That is the more common usage of the word. Other people have pointed out that it's just a song, that Kirsty MacColl and Shane MacGowan are playing characters, they're not necessarily voicing their own internal thoughts or beliefs, and that just because they use that word in the song, it doesn't make the band or Kirsty MacColl homophobic. An example I've heard used to illustrate that point is in Django Unchained, Leonardo DiCaprio plays a slave owner who uses the N-word fairly liberally. Now, people don't think that Leonardo DiCaprio is a racist because of this. They understand that he's acting, it's a performance, and that's the same thing that's going on in the song. And that is absolutely true, that's fair enough, but no one's calling for his lines from that film to be played on daytime Radio 1. It's worth reiterating the point that this song hasn't been deleted. It's still available, it's easy to find on YouTube or Spotify if you want to hear an uncensored version in its original form. You just have to hear a radio edit if you're listening on Radio 1. But you know what? I think a lot of people kicking up a fuss don't listen to that much Radio 1 anyway. It would be very easy for me to sit here and say that anyone who wants to hear or use the F word in Fairy Tale of New York is a bigot. I mean, that's basically the approach I took to the racist complaining about the Sainsbury's advert. And you know what? It was actually kind of satisfying. I've made a few different videos about politics now, and if you've seen any of those, you might get the sense that I'm a smug prick who thinks he's right all the time, and that's fair enough, but I'd say that's not who I am, right? Because there are so many videos that I don't make, so many arguments that I don't wade into, because I'm not sure where I stand. Or because, even though I do know where I stand, I'm aware that the argument is complex and there might be some nuance that I might have missed. So it's actually quite nice to find an argument that's so cut and dried where you feel you're definitely on the right side. Because if you watch an advert that's about a family wanting to get together for Christmas, and they're talking about mum's gravy and dad's roast potatoes and all the things they're going to miss if they can't see each other, and then you claim that you can't relate to that because the family's black, or if you head to Twitter and make flat out racist jokes, then I'm sorry, that is just racist. And it doesn't matter if you tell me on Facebook that you have black friends, or if you don't consider yourself a racist, or if you're not racist in other areas of your life. None of that makes it okay to be racist about that advert. So it'd be really easy to sit here and call everyone who defends the use of the F word in Fairy Tale of New York a homophobe, and then pat myself on the back and call myself one of the good guys and feel job well done. But unfortunately, I do think that this particular argument is a little bit more complex. Yes, some people are defending it in bad faith because they are bigots, or at the very least they're exploiting the bigotry of others under the vague banner of traditional British values. But there are also people who aren't really homophobic at all. They just like the idea of getting to say a naughty word, getting to belt out a word that they would never normally use in conversation. It's like if you listen to gangster rap and enthusiastically sing along to the N-word and lyrics that call women bitches and hoes. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're a sexist or a racist, but you might want to stop listening to your inner 14-year-old boy and just don't feed those impulses. But honestly, I do feel that for a large majority of people who get upset when this song gets edited or altered or people talk about banning it, the reason they get upset isn't out of any sort of homophobia, it's about tradition. And tradition is a powerful thing, particularly around Christmas, where people get very set in their ways. They get very hung up on their kind of rituals and their habits. And we know that this year more than ever, when so many of those habits and rituals are being torn up. We want our Christmases to be the way they've always been. It's why when we go home we insist our mum gets a Christmas cake and a Yule log and a stollen and a Christmas pudding, even though we know we're going to be too stuffed from turkey and potatoes to actually eat any of them. And besides, she started making that chocolate orange thing a couple of years ago that's really delicious. And if we are going to have a dessert at all, it's definitely going to be that one, but we do want the other ones to be there because it's tradition. It's like when you go home for Christmas and you insist on having a Christmas stocking well into your 20s, until finally you bring a girlfriend home for the holidays and suddenly you're a bit grown up for that, actually, Mum and Dad. Might just be me. And it doesn't take long for something to take root as a Christmas tradition. Like, for example, the Coca-Cola Christmas truck tour has only been running for about a decade, and also it's a fairly crass and obvious capitalist subversion of the Christmas spirit that shouldn't exist, but people were still upset when they had to cancel it this year. For many people, fairy tale has been a part of their annual Christmas tradition for most, if not all, of their lives, and they don't want it to change, not least because it's really difficult to find a good rhyme for maggot. Like, most of the alternative suggestions that I've heard are either too clunky or too jokey to really fit the tone of the song. And I get it, the original lyric, it just fits, that's what the song is, we don't want it to change. And I can completely relate to this. Like, there's another song that was a festive favourite of mine when I was growing up. Because when I was a kid, my dad had a cassette tape of an album called Now That's What I Call Christmas, and he would play that to and from Milton Keynes to do the Christmas shopping every year. And for me, that album and every song on it just means Christmas. I just have such fond memories of being sat in the back of a car on a cold, dark night, listening to Christmas music as we head down the motorway, the lights passing over our heads. That tape and every single song on it was the sound of Christmas for me, irrespective of quality. And one of those songs was Rock and Roll Christmas by Gary Glitter. Now, I'm in my mid-30s, and if you're a bit younger than me, you might not even remember that song. You might never have heard it. It doesn't really get played anymore. What happened was, good few years ago now, Gary Glitter had some really bad PR. In fact, it turned out that Gary Glitter was a proper wrong, and in a way that I don't really want to get into. It's all a bit heavy for a video like this. I'm not really going to go into the details of that. But basically, we had to let that one go. In fact, I'd like to play a clip from that song now to kind of illustrate it if you're not familiar with the track. But I'm not even going to do that because I'm not 100% how song royalties work. And I'm worried that if I do use a bit of the music and then YouTube puts an advert on this video, somehow some money will find its way back into the hands of Gary Glitter. I don't want that. And I'm aware that I could find that song fairly easily online if I want to, but I don't. I've let it go, and so have a lot of other people. But if suddenly someone came to me and said, oh, look, turns out it's all been a big misunderstanding and Gary Glitter didn't do any of those awful things and we can enjoy his music again, I'd think, great, brilliant, that's one of my beloved Christmas songs, I can have it back, great, I would welcome that. And then if they said to me...
Oh, one thing though.
Yeah.
You know the line, you'll be rocking in your stocking?
Know it well, yeah.
Can't really use the word stocking anymore. Turns out it's quite an offensive slur for a minority group.
Oh, which one?
Well, this is just hypothetical for the video. We don't actually have to, pick a minority group and create a slur.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, so you can't use the word stocking, you're going to have to change it.
Okay, well, that's a bit tricky because there aren't many words that rhyme with rocking, and especially if you want to maintain the Christmas theme. How's about carol singers knocking to get you rocking? You won't believe your big blue eyes.
Not bad. Doesn't really scant though, does it?
No. Alright, I'm going to need to give that some more thought. But it's fine, we'll figure something out. I mean, the main thing is, we don't want to keep using a word that upsets a whole group of people. It's not worth the upset just so we can keep singing a word that offends people.
No, not really.
It's enough to make me think we should just ban Fairy Tale of New York outright for a decade. Just get rid of it. And then in 10 years, people will welcome back a radio edit with open arms. So I was speaking to a bisexual friend of mine recently, and he was saying it would be great if that word could be reclaimed by the LGBT community in the same way that queer has. He reckons he seldom hears queer used as a slur anymore because a lot of the sting has been taken out of it because that community uses it themselves. And it would be great if that could be done for the F word, and that everyone could just use it whenever they wanted, because it would be harmless and we could all sing it in a song and everyone would know that it's just harmless and it's all fine. But if the word is to be reclaimed, I don't think that's going to happen by people bellowing it into each other's faces at office Christmas parties, particularly not straight people. If it's going to be reclaimed, that has to come from the LGBT community. And in the meantime, the radio edit still sounds pretty fucking good.
This is the thing I don't get. It's like about a second and a half of just, like, the song is still the song. You can still enjoy it. Like, how much do you have to give a shit about that second?
Hi, I'm sat at the computer editing the video that you have just finished watching, and it's nearly done, and I want to get it out so that you can watch it like you just did. You see what I'm saying? But I did promise that I was going to recap my previous video about the but I did promise I was going to recap my previous video about the racist reaction to the latest Sainsbury's Christmas ad, and so that's what I'm doing now. Basically, I got some really nice positive responses to that video, some really nice comments and good feedback and likes on Facebook and YouTube, and that was lovely. But I also got some really weird stuff. Given the tweets that the video was inspired by, I probably shouldn't be surprised, but anyway, there was a lot of kind of just racism and a lot of pushback, a lot of people calling me woke, because apparently suggesting we shouldn't be racist towards each other is a sign of woke. I don't mind being called woke, but it's a weird thing where you just say, oh, maybe we shouldn't be racist, and right-wing people assume you're part of some terrible left-wing ideology that they don't like. And there were people saying that having black people in a family was bad representation because there's more white people in the population, and they would quote statistics, and it's weird how often people who are claiming they're not racist have the statistics at their fingertips of this sort of thing. They know a lot about sort of population ratios for people who don't care about race. Anyway, there were other people then saying, well, just having black people is racist. And then I said it's one of 3 ads and the others have white people in. And they said, so now that's segregation. They thought they were being very clever. Some people were just making racist jokes. It was a weird time. But one person in particular came out the gate with a racist joke and then didn't like that I called him on that, and so continued to chase me with increasingly desperate arguments for literally 3 days, and I shouldn't have bothered replying, but I did. That's my own fault. And so it's such a long rambling argument that I'm not going to try and explain it all here. Instead, I'm literally just going to post it all after the credits of this video, and you can make up your own minds of what you make of him. What I have done is I've blocked out his name and the names of a few other people who chipped in. This was in a politics and debate group on Facebook, and I blacked out people's names because even though they're openly saying this in a kind of public forum, I thought probably not cool to put their names in a thing where anyone could then look them up and maybe tell them off for being a racist. I mean, they were being racist, but I'm not looking to have anyone sort of chased down here. I'm just, I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, it's after the credits. Thanks for watching this video, and if you could like and subscribe, that would be wonderful. Really appreciate that, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.